Welcome to our next adventure around Scotland. Our first stop was overnight at Perth and then begin tomorrow to go to Keswick Caravan Park.
We've come to a place as a stop off, something that's we're meaning to do for quite a long time. I don't want to be morbid, it's the start of our holidays, but I just think it's nice to pay respects. So we've actually called in at Lockerbie. For those of you that don't know, this is a big air disaster in 1988 where a plane crashed. It was actually a bomb was set off on the plane, caused it to crash, and it landed on the edge of Lockerbie. People died on that day, and they've done a bit of a memorial garden, which you can see behind me. Because of the time of year that we're here, you can't see all the flowers, but in the summer they put a lot of flowers and it's really pretty and colourful. But it's just a bit of a place for people to reflect. It's quite a calming, strange feeling being here, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure this spot, if it's where the plane crashed. The fact that it's in an unusual place on the edge of the village, estate, town, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to say it probably is. So yeah, here it is. (1988) December. What have we learnt since then? Absolutely nothing.
Moving on from Lockerbie, the weather had turned, we had some showers. We were heading off to the Battle of Culloden site. The Battle of Culloden was at Culloden Moor, and it was a battle that took place on April the 16th in 1746 when the final Jacobite rising came to a brutal head. It was one of the most harrowing battles in British history. Jacobite supporters seeking to restore the Stuart monarchy to the British thrones gathered to fight the Duke of Cumberland's government troops. It was the last pitched battle on British soil, and in less than an hour around 1,600 men were slain. 1,500 of them were Jacobites. The red flags mark the front line of the government army, which numbered approximately 8,000 men. This is where most of the hand-to-hand fighting took place. And then the blue flags mark the front line of the Jacobite army, which numbered approximately 5,500. Charles Edward Stuart was behind these lines. What we're walking towards now is where some of the clans were buried in a mass grave. I apologise for the light. The sun was actually in the wrong direction that day and very bright, which doesn't come out too great on the video. The headstones to these graves were added later on in 1881. When I'm standing here just looking at the field, you can't imagine those thousands of men all there just waiting to fight each other. You have no idea what could have been going through their minds at the time, and the fact that most of them were going to run to their death. It was a very bloody, brutal battle. I just can't imagine it. It must have been a really awful, strange feeling. Very brave men of those days.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Culloden battlefield, it's a really good visit to go and see. As you can see, it's dog friendly. You can walk your dogs around the grounds. They have a bit of a museum and a cafe, and you do pay to park up the car. So for our T5 camper van, it was around £5. In this section, you can see gaps in the brick wall. So this field was actually surrounded by a brick wall, and the government troops actually made the holes so they could actually basically drive through with their army. So all along here is some of the wall where you can see the gaps where they forced the wall down, created the gaps so they could actually then run towards the other side. And that concludes our visit to Culloden Moor. I hope you enjoyed the footage that I showed you, but go and have a look and visit yourself. It's a very interesting place. A lot of history there, as you can imagine. We are now officially on the NC 500 and a quick coffee stop at the Harry Cow services before we move on to Sharnery Point and hopefully see some dolphins. Sharnery Point is where there's a sandbank out on the headland and you just see it. So the way that when the tide comes in and the sea sort of interacts with the sandbank, it means that the fish get gathered into this area, which in turn creates a good point for the dolphins to catch the fish, as well as seals. So we did manage to see some seals on this trip, but I think it was a little bit too late with the tides regarding seeing any dolphins. There's a few of us hopeful people there waiting to see, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. Just a couple of seals having a look at us thinking we're mad. As you can see, shag flying over there, quite a lot of shags about, but no dolphins. Third time we've tried, third time failed to see anything. Worth a visit though on your way round the NC 500. Visiting Scotland in the autumn is absolutely stunning. It's been quite a while since we've done this, and none of us could remember seeing the trees with all the colours of the leaves changing, just how beautiful it actually is. The film and photos really don't do this justice. The colours are absolutely amazing, it's stunning, and we were just mesmerised every time we come across roads that had the trees like this and all the different colours and the greens, the yellows, the oranges. It's absolutely beautiful. I just wish it had come out as we actually saw it. It was one of those things where you've got to be there and experience it, but it gives you an idea just how beautiful this was. And it wasn't all over Scotland, it's just odd roads where it was like this on either side. Obviously it's autumn in Scotland all over, the weather's a lot colder than down in England, but it's just amazing. It's beautiful. And then we arrive at our second night point, which was Keswick Caravan Park. This was a nice little site with a wooded area, nice and private, peaceful night's sleep. Moving on the next day, further up the east coast, our first stop off point was to see the Mermaid of the North. A very rainy, wet and windy morning. leaving a wet and windy, very windy, Mermaid of the North, we headed out to Dunrobin Castle. A lot of people that do the NC 500 slate and badmouth the northeast coast. Yes, it hasn't got the mountains that the west have, but there's a lot to offer on the east coast, and I think it's quite naive to think that there isn't a lot there. Each to their own. It depends what you want to do and what your interests are in, but there is a lot to see if you do your research, so don't listen to everybody else's opinion. Go and see it for yourself. Dunrobin Castle is the most northerly of Scotland's great houses and the largest in the Northern Highlands. It houses 189 rooms, and it's also Britain's oldest continuously inhabited houses, dating back to the early 1300s. It's the home to the Earls and later the Dukes of Sutherland. The castle resembles a French chateau, with its towering conical spires has seen the architectural influences of Sir Charles Barry, who designed London's Houses of Parliament and Scotland's own Sir Robert Lorimer. The castle was used as a naval hospital during the First World War and as a boys' boarding school from 1965 to 1972. It overlooks the Moray Firth, and today was very wet and windy and rainy, so not the best from the outside views. But as you can see, a lovely, beautiful house inside. So just a snippet to show you, not everything it has to offer, but just to show you some of the rooms, to make you decide whether you want to go and visit yourself and see it with your own eyes. Today, Dunrobin Castle is the home of the clan Sutherland, seat of the Earls and Dukes of Sutherland. The motto of Clan Sutherland is Sans Feu. If I said that wrong, I apologise. It is called French for without fear. It appears on both the Countess's coat of arms and the clan crest. During my research for the NC 500, as we visited this many times, this was something I've never seen. A stone in a lay-by that marks the last wolf that was killed in Scotland. Something else that I'd never visited was the Emigrants' Memorial. As you can see, it commemorates the people of the Highlands and Islands of Scotland who in the face of great adversity sought freedom, hope and justice beyond the shores, and took the Scottish influence to other countries and the rest of the world. And a monument was put there for their success and their thanks of what they've done for Scotland and the people. So, decided to come down the steps. Is it a good idea? I do not know. I don't know. It's slippy, it's raining, got a mad dog. He might not make it up, might have to carry him. But what I really want to see is the elephant one. And I think I need to go down here to see the elephant. God, I am mad. Not the best day to do this. Wait, Alf. Look at all these steps. You regret coming now, aren't you? Walligo Steps is 365 steps down to harbour, which in its day used to be a main harbour for fishermen, and the women used to actually climb these steps with all the catch of the day. It was built by Captain David Brodie. It cost just £8 and it supported 14 herring boats. Elephant Cliff. The cliffs surrounding the bay are 250 foot high, and then you can see in the distance Elephant Cliff, which resembles an elephant's head and trunk. Heading towards John O'Groats now for our third night on John O'Groats campsite. Pleased to say that normally this is closed when we come, but on this occasion it was open, and the lady in charge was very friendly, lovely woman, and she's trying to keep the site open all year round. That's her aim. She sees there's need for it, and it's a lot of people were there on the day. The John O'Groats campsite is right next to John O'Groats post where everyone wants to go and stand. This is the last pub. That's a really great brewery. They do their own beer. Lovely little ambience inside. And it's just a great atmosphere.
Didn't even know there was a John O'Groats trail. There you go. Learn something new every day. Can't believe it, John O'Groats was never here. A beautiful day.
Well, that concludes our third night at John O'Groats for part 1 of the NC 500 and trip to Scotland. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, please subscribe so you don't miss part 2 and the continuation of our week in Scotland. Thanks for watching.